Welcome to Cash Flow Matters, the business show for success. My name is Melissa Nash Andrews, and thank you for joining our show. Today, we're going to be hearing from Jim Wilkerson, who is a board-certified civil trial attorney, and he's going to talk to us about the insurance purchases that we make within our business and how we can try to minimize some of our liability. We'll also hear from Jackie Marins, and she's going to introduce Autism Speaks, and she's going to talk about an upcoming walk that we're having in West Palm Beach. So glad to have you on the show. This evening I want to talk to you about time management. Time management is actually an oxymoron. It's where you put two words together and they absolutely don't go together. Because as individuals, we actually can't manage time. We can manage ourselves, but we can't stop the clock from ticking. So with time management, what we need to do is look at ourselves. Stephen Covey has written a book on it, and one of the issues that he talks about is big rocks, little rocks. And if we have so much time to get things done, we need to make sure that we do the important things first. Now, I don't know about you, but procrastination can slip into a lot of our days. Anybody out there can relate to us? Yep, I can imagine. I know that I do as well. What we need to do is, me personally, I try to keep a list of things that have to get done and focus on the things that I hate to do first and focus on the things that are most important to get done. Once we find that we get those big things done, we get those over with, and then we'll fill our time up with the other things that need to get done. There are so many things that we do that take away from our business day that actually eat up our time and keep us from accomplishing tasks that need to get done. Probably one of the number one time killers in any business right now is Facebook. I don't know how many business owners are involved in Facebook, and you get the little email that someone sent you a message or something's happened, and you'll jump over into that, then you start reading the statuses, and then the other time killer is the farming and some of the different games and things that are going on. So really focus on time management. It's something that's critical that I would encourage all of you to do. If you haven't read the book on Stephen Covey, it might be a good time for you to do that and actually focus. Some of the things that you may want to do is use business cards. Take a little index card. If you've got a system of a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, some chores and things that you need to get done within your day, tasks that need to get completed, follow through with that and to make sure that you knock out those big things first. So that's probably one of the best things that I want to talk to you about today with time management. My name is Melissa Nash Andrews. This is Cash Flow Matters. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Cash Flow Matters. With us we have Jim Wilkerson. And Jim, you are a board-certified civil trial lawyer. Yes?
I am, Melissa. Thank you for having me here this evening.
Why don't you tell our viewers what a board-certified civil trial lawyer is first?
Well, a board-certified civil trial lawyer is a lawyer who's obviously practiced in the community for 5 years, has taken peer review, has taken an 8-hour exam that's graded, and then is certified as a specialist in the area of personal injury or civil trial law.
So it gives you a little more certification and the fact that you're actually accredited by your peers.
Well, the legal community has really followed the model of the medical community in that we have etched out areas of specialization, sat for exam to be certified in those areas, and I've been certified as a civil trial lawyer for over 20 years now.
Wonderful. Well, Jim, we're going to talk about insurance today and what happens within a business. So let me ask you, what are some of the common mistakes that business owners make when they purchase automobile liability and some other policies that they have to purchase?
Melissa, let me give you a little background into where I am coming from here.
Sure.
I think accidents, people who are involved in motor vehicle crashes, these are totally unpredictable events for businesses. You can't plan to know that on Tuesday of next week you're going to be involved in a motor vehicle collision. And people who get injured from these accidents, it's totally random. Some people walk away from really serious crashes, and some people get involved in what looks like relatively minor motor vehicle crashes and end up being injured. So what can a business person do knowing that this is a particularly random event that they can't plan for? They have to plan for the insurance aspect of the event so that they are properly protected in the event that one of these occurrences happens to them or one of their loved ones, that they're adequately protected from an insurance standpoint so that their business will continue to go forward as they deal with the injury component of this accident.
So But what are some of the common mistakes that might get made that I wanted to see, that you have found through your practice?
Well, I have seen two. I think the most common mistake that people make is that they don't purchase uninsured motorist coverage. It doesn't seem to be a coverage that is sold aggressively by the insurance agents in our community. And this is probably the most valuable coverage that an individual can have. And its value increases exponentially with the risk exposure that one has on a day-to-day basis if they drive in their business. Uninsured motorist coverage protects you in the event that a person causes an accident that injures you and they either have no bodily injury liability coverage or they have a limited amount of coverage and the extent of the injury that they've caused to you exceeds that coverage in a monetary value. This is essential to a business person because if you are out on the road and you are the driver of your business and you get involved in one of these events which cannot be predicted, you need to be sure that you're adequately protected from an insurance standpoint because the state does not mandate financial responsibility on the individual to purchase coverage that would protect you from injury to someone else.
Right. How can restructuring one of these policies affect a business bottom line?
Well, I think that if you're not adequately protected in all aspects of insurance, that when one of these unforeseen events occurs, the business can suffer tremendously. And if you're a small business owner, a person who really is the driving force of your business, and you're not available to push that business forward on a day-to-day basis, you have to look back to the insurance potential that you have in order to make a claim against that coverage.
Right. So what can a business do to protect themselves against injury claims?
Well, I think that this is sort of a separate question. I think that what an individual can do to protect themselves from injury claims is not only be adequately protected from insurance purposes, but be proactive and identify the risk exposure that your business has. If you're a restaurant business, your risk exposure is spillage on the floor, potentially.
Right.
If you're the owner of a premises, then maintaining the premises and reacting to situations that occur on the premises and being proactive is the best prevention from the occurrence of an accident. For example, I had a case several years ago in which a patron in a restaurant sat in a chair that collapsed under his weight, and he sustained a very serious neck injury as a consequence of that. Unfortunately, the business had a prior incident involving one of these chairs, and it was clear to the business that the chairs were exceeding their useful life.
Right.
But they weren't proactive. They pushed the envelope, and as a consequence, someone else got injured on their premises. So I would say to someone who wants to protect themselves from the potential for claims, be proactive in your risk exposures. Identify those exposures which are unique to your businesses, and then do something about them.
Now, if an employee sustains an injury on the job, okay, what can a business owner do to try to minimize some of that? What are some of the best things that a business owner could do?
I think this is not a very well understood aspect of business. If you have one of your employees who's been injured in an accident that is the result of some third party's carelessness, what a business owner may not recognize is that if that employee brings a claim against that at-fault party, the workers' compensation payments that are made are going to be reimbursed in large part as a result of that compensation claim that the employee makes. So the employer needs to be proactive to be sure that the employee is getting adequate legal advice, that the employee knows his rights, that the employer is on board with this claim because it is going to come back to them in the sense that the payments that their workers' compensation insurer is making on the front end is going to be returned to them on the back end at the end of this claim.
Okay. Well, Jim, thank you so much for coming on today.
It's my pleasure.
But I want to ask you one more important question. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and say, look at my policies, come visit my office, look at what I have going on, how can they find you?
Well, you can find me two ways. My office is centrally located in the West Palm Beach area along the Palm Beach Lakes corridor. And you can reach me by telephone at 682-9060, or you can visit our website, which is www.pbcinjuryattorney.com.
Jim, thanks again. Glad to have you on the show.
My pleasure.
Hope you come back again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back to Cash Flow Matters. This evening we're going to talk about billing practices. Whether you are invoicing for a service or you're invoicing for a product, I think that it's very important that you have processes and systems in place within your organization. So we're going to talk about some scenarios. We're going to give you some suggestions, tips, and ideas, and hopefully some of these things will help you to either complement your business practice that you're doing it right to begin with, or that you'll implement some of these processes and procedures into your organization. The first thing I want to do is I want to talk about software systems. I encourage you to use one. Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel are great tools. They're there for a lot of different purposes, but I really don't think that that's where you should be for controlling the billing and the software, the billing and the management of the billing for your business. Whether you get an off-the-shelf product at an Office Depot or a retail store, or you have something that's industry-specific for your organization and for your industry, I would encourage you to use those tools that they're there for you. There's lots of reasonable systems that are out there. But the next thing is that once you have the tool and you have that in your system, you have that in your office, you need to actually work the tool that you have. So many times we go into businesses and we find that they have the tools, they even have the written processes and procedures, they just didn't follow them or implement them. So what I'd like to do is share with you some stories of situations that we've been in and share with you some suggestions on how that you can do that. One of the first things that I want to encourage you to do is to eliminate any line, if there is one, between your billing department and your accounts receivables department, collections. In a lot of businesses, the larger you are, you may have a purchasing department, you may have a billing department, you may have a collections department. And so many times you may find that there's some finger pointing, this didn't happen because they didn't do this because they're running off our clients, and you find a lot of that. Eliminate all of the lines. Put everybody on the same team. They're always there to work together, so they can focus on that. Because we have seen some instances in organizations where they'll do that, and the end result really is a lack of cash flow for your business. Back to billing practices, let me give you a story about a business that we came into. This was a business that had daily retail services out in the community, and they actually worked in a 5-county area. They actually service daily, so I'm going to suggest if you service daily and it's a once-a-month client that you would repeat over and over again, that you actually invoice daily. So you perform a service, you come into the office, within, I would say, 48 hours, you need to make sure that your bill is dropped. What we found is that their billing department was behind, and they were behind anywhere between 30 and 45 days. So if service was performed today, the invoice wasn't going out for 45 days. When they invoiced it 30, 45 days later, the date of the invoice was actually the date of the service. So the day that the invoice was actually dropped in the mail, you're already 45 days late. So it's already throwing your cash flow off, and it's already throwing your books and your accounts receivables off. The client gets the invoice, it's 45 days late, they forgot that you were out there, they forgot about the service that you performed. In some cases, on the commercial clients, they had actually, some of these projects happened so fast that they had already closed their books, they had already closed their job costing, and so now the accountants had an issue, they had a problem, they were going to have to go reopen a file, they were going to have to go pull some paperwork because it wasn't timely in their office. So what happens when an accountant has extra work to do and it's not straight data entry? You go over here in this problem pile. Well, what we find with cash flow is that problem piles, they don't get solved within the same day. Sometimes you're lucky if they get solved within the same week. Referring back to one of our previous messages, the ROI call, that'll let you know that you've got a problem file over on this side. So let's go back to the billing practices. what we found was that the breakdown was in billing, so we had to go all the way back to the beginning. It was a data entry crunch, and we were able to shorten that process up and go back into their organization. Again, their cash flow problem really wasn't that they had bad clients, wasn't that they had bad terms, it was that the bills weren't going out timely and they weren't getting into their clients. And so we found that they were operating at about a 90-day AR, but of course that wasn't true because of the date of when the bills go out. So what I'd like to encourage you to do is look at your billing practices, look at what you do within your organization, make sure that whatever process and system that you use, that you follow that process, you hold the people accountable. As a manager, you have to take the accountability that you're getting these things done that you need to have done. Don't allow the breakdown in the billing practices to happen within your organization. If they do, pause what you're doing, go back to the beginning, work your plan. So develop a plan and then work your plan. That's the best thing that you can do. And then you should improve your cash flow. My name is Melissa, and this is Cash Flow Matters. Welcome back to Cash Flow Matters. With us this evening, we have Jacqueline Marins, and she is the South Florida Director for Autism Speaks. Yes?
Yes.
Well, Jacqueline, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Glad to have you. Tell us, what is autism?
Well, autism is a neurological disorder, and it often affects a person's ability to speak. It affects a person's senses. But primarily, there's really a strong social component. There's social cues that people with autism miss, and they don't intuit the way you and I do. And it makes the world around them a pretty frightening place sometimes. It's very unpredictable for them, and as a result we have a lot of behavioral issues with many of our children, and we need to find out what's going on and why this is happening, because as a parent of a child with autism who's now 26, when he was diagnosed the number was 1 in 10,000. Today that number is 1 in 110. So we know that there's something going on, either biologically, environmentally, probably a combination of both is what we're finding out in terms of genetics and environment. And we need to figure out how we're going to stop it, or it is going to cost our society a fortune as all of these children grow up into adulthood.
Why are the numbers growing?
We're not sure. That's what we're researching and trying to find out. We know that there seems to be certain genes that are involved, where there's a weakness on a gene, and then some kind of environmental assault takes place, and we see the results as the symptoms of autism. But we do believe that there will be many types of autisms, if you will, as we move forward into figuring out what's causing
Is this what's kind of referred to as a spectrum? When you say many?
Yeah, I mean, it is a spectrum disorder. There are people who are so profoundly affected by their autism, and then there are people who, and in terms of their cognitive development as well, and then there are people on the other end of the spectrum who have what we call either high-functioning autism or Asperger's syndrome, who are conversational, who have more social skills than some of the other folks with autism, but still have difficulty navigating their world.
So what are some of the early signs?
I think that the things that parents should look for, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anybody, with young children under a year, are no smiling at someone who is, they're familiar with, no babbling back and forth, no play back and forth, odd play with toys, things like that. Parents should ask their pediatrician, and don't wait, because the sooner we can get kids with autism into therapy, the better the outcomes. I mean, early intervention is absolutely critical to the best outcomes for our kids.
What should a parent do if they think that there are some questions? I know you talked about going and talking to a doctor, but what are some other things that parents might want to do?
Well, I really encourage parents who have any inkling there's something wrong to go to the autismspeaks.org website and look around. There is a wealth of information, not only about autism, what autism is, but what parents can do. There's a 100-day kit for newly diagnosed parents. If your child child's in school and struggling and having trouble with the schools, there's a school community toolkit. There's a first responders kit. As your child gets older and is out there, we want first responders, police, fire, EMS to know more about what to do with children. So the autismspeaks.org website is a wealth of information. And we want families to come out to our events so that they can learn more about autism and they can garner the resources that are available here locally, because there is so much available to our families.
Tell our audience, who is Autism Speaks? Tell us about the organization and how it got started, and maybe a little bit about how you got involved.
Well, I got involved because of my son,
Right.
and I was involved with the National Alliance for Autism Research before there was Autism Speaks. And Autism Speaks started in 2005 as a result of Bob and Suzanne Wright, who are very influential Bob was the president of NBC Universal and sat on the board of GE, and their grandson was diagnosed. And they were determined to bring together the brightest minds in science and the organizations that were doing the most research. And so the National Alliance for Autism Research, Cure Autism Now, and Agree all sort of merged together and became Autism Speaks, and we have the largest program in the nation, organization in the nation.
Wonderful. Well, tell me, how can a business get involved? I know community involvement is very important to me, and I'm glad to have participated in Autism Speaks before and some of your walks and different things. But tell us, how can other businesses get involved? What can the community do to participate in this organization?
Well, we would love for businesses to get involved with us, to become sponsors, to have walk teams at our event. Our big event coming up in West Palm Beach is March 6th in downtown West Palm Beach. We would love to have, there's lots of sponsorship opportunities available. We have team programs that we can get your businesses involved in so that you can come out, enjoy the day. It's a family event. We have all kinds of activities for the kids. We are having a run this year before the walk, and we encourage any of you who are runners to come on out and do a 5K with us prior to the walk, so that the run starts at 8 and the walk starts at 10. And we really want people to come out, find out more about Autism Speaks. And for the business community, we need your help. We can't do this on the backs of our families. Our families go broke paying for therapy, and we need the support of the business community to help figure out what is going on in the world of autism and how we can stop it, and how we can provide the best opportunities for our young adults with autism who are more than capable of holding jobs under the right circumstances, with the right supports and the right understanding. And that's really where the business community can be helpful.
So we can sponsor walk teams, and we can actually sponsor the walk as ourselves.
Yes.
Jackie, why don't you tell anybody who's watching how they can get some more information?
We hope that you will go to Walk Now for autismspeaks.org/Palm Beach, and you will find information about the walk, about the run, and call our office, 800-610-6227, and we can discuss sponsorship opportunities and how we can help support you and your business to become involved. And we look forward to seeing everyone March 6th in downtown West Palm Beach, and bring your families.
I'll be there. Thanks so much for coming on the
Thank
show.
you.
Glad to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for watching Cashflow Matters. I'm so glad that you were with us today. Next week, we're going to hear from Greg Daniel with Beach Environmental, and we'll also have with us Sharon Gill, and she's with Oasis Compassion Outsourcing. They're going to talk to us about pest control, bed bugs, and we're actually going to compliment Greg. He has a wonderful organization that they run. And next week, we'll hear from Sharon. She'll share with us about Compassion Oasis and how they're working with men and women in the community. Some are displaced out of the workforce, and they're working to improve business skills and to get them going. Always want to encourage businesses to get involved. Cashflow Matters, we try to talk about everything that's money related for the small business and the entrepreneur. This is your business prescription for success. Watch the show and call me in the morning. Thank you very much.